Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. As you can see, I have Sean back.
Hello, everybody.
I don't know which side, it's mirrored. So either you're on this side or anyways.
You're over here to me.
I know you're over here to me, but
Oh,
when
that's
the
interesting.
video goes, it goes weird. But all right, so what we're going to do here, I have Sean back. He's going to kind of get us through a lot of the polls that we have, Texas information. We're also going to, asking him if Trump can change his VP at this point, and if he could, what would happen? And then he's going to talk a little bit about RFK and him dropping out and what would happen and what is happening with all of the people who were going to vote for RFK. So with that said, so stick around. We have a lot to accomplish. But Sean, I want you to tell us, how do people get a hold of you? What is
No.
your YouTube channel? All that good stuff. What do you do?
So, my channel is C as in cat, LSB as in boy, at politics. So it's CLSB politics on YouTube. Easy to find. And
Very good.
yeah, and I look at more of a logistics and statistics on campaigning, best practices, also what's happening out there. And I look at the polls and I try and kind of break it down to where it's consumable.
Right.
Otherwise, it's just an ocean of numbers. So.
Well, we're scared of the polls at some point because one poll says, Trump is up, Trump is up, and Trump is up, and we're going, ah. And then with switch now Kamala is going and soaring in the polls, and we just want to be able to believe it, or when we're looking at it, what do we believe, what are we supposed to be
So one
about
way to
that?
look at the polls when Biden was in office is that they were both not doing well. So Biden was down at the same level as Trump. And then when Kamala took over, we saw a jump because the millennial generation is the largest voting universe generation since the boomers. And they got engaged. And that's why we're seeing that jump now. That's why we're seeing a 3 and 4 point lead. It's not that Trump is doing any better or any worse than he was doing. He's actually incredibly statistically right between 43 and 46%. That's his world. He doesn't deviate from it. That's what all the math says. He's right in there. And the thing is, he can't get above that 46. Sometimes you see a 47, but when you look at the averages, it all comes right back down again. His 46 is his top. So if you can get Kamala anything north of that, and technically because of gerrymandering, she's got to really be like 2 points north of that. So if she can get 48 or 49% of the vote, then that's a solid win for the Democrats.
Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic.
So
So
it's not that he's doing any worse than he was. He's doing the same as he was. It's just now Kamala's overperforming. That's what it boils down to.
well, you know that I have been saying this from the get-go. We have not, Kamala didn't change. Kamala coming into the race did not change any Trumpers' minds. We haven't changed their
Oh,
mind. I
you don't change the mind of they are not operating from a place of rational thought.
Right.
They it's more of an uh, no one wants to be duped. No one wants to be had or conned. And they will go to the hilt never to admit that.
Mhm.
So that's why there's no real way of going after those votes because it's a conscious of personality and they're just driven by it.
I
And
agree.
that's their mighty ruler person and it's just the way they are. Now what Kamala's been doing is she's been looking at a much larger demographic of voters, the 30 somethings. And that universe of voter is way bigger
Yeah.
than anything that Trump's relying on.
Right.
And she's getting the 30 somethings by 20 points right now. I saw a poll today. I was like,
Yeah.
whoa,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I've never actually seen before. I think probably maybe Obama got close to that, but I've never seen. And what's interesting about that is it's a insanely huge demographic. So 20% is a lot because
Yeah.
it's a huge chunk of people because it's the largest demographic in our country.
I agree. I agree. That's what I was saying. Is that he haven't changed any Trumpers' minds, but what she is doing is engaging those who have not made up their mind and or have just coming of age to register
Yeah.
and getting the word out. And I fully believe that she just has ignited the younger vote is finally getting engaged,
Well, the
which
younger vote wasn't interested in watching a movie they've already seen.
yeah, two older men, they weren't
Right.
interested.
We saw that a lot. We saw that movie already. They thought that movie was over.
Yeah,
And they were like, no, here's a sequel that's exactly the same.
yeah, yeah. I totally agree with that.
And I think that they just felt like, you know, it's why isn't there anyone younger?
Yeah.
You know?
I love all of the energy around her. We are responsible for as content creators, no matter what platform you are, is to keep that energy up, right? Our responsibility is to make sure that we keep that energy up and keeping everybody engaged. Now, as a tarot card reader and such, everything that's happening right now, we have been reading on for years that it was going to happen. Now, we did not read that Kamala Harris was going to take over. I think in my own world, just kind of not, I didn't want to look at it. You're like, no, Biden, we don't want to ever discontinue Biden because, but it's really nice that all of this. I did a remote view a while back. It was before Trump even lost the 2020, and the remote view was that Trump was a pinata, and he was swinging above a whole bunch of people. And all of a sudden, they started lowering the pinata, and these people were cutting and slicing his pinata. And they keep on lowering it and slicing it and cutting it and all of that. And it kind of dropped into them, and they just kind of rah. And I looked to see who the people were, and it was his own people.
Oh, they're not. So,
Exactly what's
yeah.
happening now.
So the show I put out today is asking the question, is Texas a swing state? And for some of your viewers, I live in Texas. I've worked quite a few campaigns here. I pay attention, and I also work in other states. But I'm in Texas, and there's that polling came out, which made me then take a closer look. Texas is 3 years younger than the average age of the United States. The average age of the United States is only 38,
Yeah.
and we're at 35. And like I said, any state closer to that 30-year-old mean, the median, they're the ones, those are the states that are more likely to flip.
What do you
Just
mean by
because,
age? What do you mean?
so
Go
you
back.
take the age of everyone in a state
Every
and then
person.
divide it by the number of people in that state. Yeah.
Gotcha. So
And
we're
so you end up
looking
with
at
35. So Texas is 35 years old, but the United States is 38 years old
okay. So most people in each state are as an average are around
on an
30
average. Yeah,
on an average of
35 in
30.
Texas. Yeah.
And everybody in Texas on an average, you have the bulk of them are around 30, 35 years old.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
And
Now,
that's because we have a large Hispanic population. We've also had a lot of tech, honestly, that has moved in here over the last decade.
right.
That has been part of a lot of the explosion down in Houston and in Austin and in Dallas, of course. And
And here's one more aspect. Okay. So I know that the red states and they're very, very religious, and religious people pop out a lot of babies. My mother had 7.
mhm.
Okay. So this is also something that I've noticing also in the whole look at things. Religious people and they believe in having lots of babies.
Well, I had 2, so
Yeah, I stuck it too as well. I was dying. But you
two's
know what I
fun,
mean?
two's plenty.
Yeah.
So, but no, and I grew up I grew up surrounded by Catholics on Guam when I was a kid. And yeah, all my friends had like 1,000 brothers and sisters and cousins and
Oh yeah.
nephews. It was, we go to a fiesta and it'd just be just huge
Oh yeah.
Catholic families.
Absolutely. Well,
Huge.
my family was Mormon.
Oh, okay. Well, there you
We
go.
went, I mean, every family you ever knew in the church when you went there, there was mom, dad, and 7 to 8 kids, in every pew. There was like tons of them. And so yeah, I get that also. So back to Texas, back to your last video that you just did. You were doing the
Yeah.
polling on there, and you were doing the polling, and you said you were talking about the meat of the age.
Yeah. that age group is right there. So when you look at the demographics of Texas, there's just more 30 somethings than there are any other age group. And then when you get into the boomer generation, especially the older boomer generation, they're more than twice as many. So Republican vote tends to skew old, and Democratic votes tend to skew young.
Yeah.
So when you see a a bump like that moving through the population, it tends to churn up the political universe. The last time this happened was in 1980 when Reagan won,
Wow.
because that's what the boomers, they were the big
Yeah.
swell that was working its way through, and they were about 30 something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
this has happened
So
before.
so your polling is saying that Texas, unbeknownst to us, might be turning more blue than we ever thought. Not that it's going to go blue. We all know the likelihood of I mean, if Texas, our job is done. If
So
Texas goes blue,
on my show at the end, this one I put out today, I actually show you what it would look like with the Electoral College if Texas went light blue. And the Republicans would they'd be 110 electoral votes short. If Texas went light blue and all the states that have choice on their ballot all went blue, the Republicans would be 110 votes short in the Electoral College.
wow, that
And
that
what
would be
that
amazing.
outline, that probability. So what I do is I did that without Texas and I did one with Texas, just so people get understanding. Even the one, if they did win Texas, they're still
Yeah,
crazy short, like 80 electoral votes short.
yeah. And have you done any statistics on Florida recently as well?
So yeah, that's actually one of the shows that I'm doing that's coming out. I've actually worked in Florida, and I talk about Florida in quite a few of my shows. In fact, I have one show that really quickly goes right through all the big swing states, and Florida at that point was starting to make noises. So I added Florida into that video. So I do have the quick and dirty over all of
Gotcha.
the states, but the video series I'm doing right now is I take a very solid look at Missouri, at
Nice.
Colorado, at Florida, just like I just did today at Texas. But
There's a thing about Colorado. Colorado is blue. And I wanted to
yes.
bring a kind of swing back to Colorado, but there's one element that's here. We have what we call a life church, something like that in Colorado Springs. It's great, big, huge. It's
Oh, I know what it is. Yeah.
huge. And it's kind of scary, to
The
be honest.
evangelicals are their own thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I go to church every Sunday, but those guys,
They're scary. They're scary
they're,
big. They got their tentacles on almost anything and everything, especially in Colorado Springs. Colorado Springs is pretty conservative
oh yeah.
compared to the rest of the state. However, we just elected a mayor who skews Democratic. He was an independent. He skews, and it took out the other mayor who's been Republican for almost 35 years.
Well, that's awesome.
So there's something going on here too. There's just
Oh
something
yeah.
going on here as well. But I just wanted to mention that Colorado has an element
Oh, for sure.
of scariness here. I mean, it just seems like we're blue, but we're vigilant.
And you have to be. And so in 2008, when you guys did a whole lot of turning blue, um, we were actually at Obama Dallas doing phone calls into Colorado during the campaign. In fact, Colorado, we shipped out probably 5 or 6 solid field directors and operations people to Colorado, because you understand Colorado's got the same voter population as Dallas County. I mean, it's Boulder, it's
Yeah,
Denver, and then
all of them.
yeah, that's Boulder and Denver is probably 80% of your population, I would guess. So
Well, yeah,
uh
Denver. Well, if you just say Denver, Boulder, for Coloradoans, when we say Denver, Boulder's in there.
oh, gotcha.
You know what I mean? We just know that everything from like the
Yeah,
mountain
it's like boop, it's like
all the
that.
way. That's all
I was
Denver for
looking
us.
at the population map today. It's literally burp and then a little
Yeah,
bit down in the corner.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's us.
But
But
yeah, no,
okay,
I'm doing like I said, I'm gonna do all the videos for every state.
fantastic.
Some are gonna be true swing states and some are gonna be swing and states with choice on it, and some of them are just gonna be choice states. So
Fantastic.
it'll
So
be
if you guys are
interesting.
interested in the deep dive and the details in the minutia, definitely go visit his YouTube channel and he can definitely break that all down for you. I find it a lot of fun to get a little bit more information on a lot of things. It helps me understand, and it also helps ignite some of my intuition, the going, so yeah, it really, really works. So let's move on to Trump. Okay, I know it's so favorite little subject, but what has happened now? Of course, RFK has now suspended his campaign.
Mhm.
Now Trump and RFK, for some reason, are now kissing cousins, and now he has stuck Vance in Philadelphia, like he's got to stay there, and it looks like that RFK and Trump are now going to go on the campaign trail together. So everybody has an uproar on social media. Is Trump going to replace JD Vance? Now, can that happen? Would that happen? And if he could, how would he do it?
So the certification happened on the 7th. That's why Kamala had to expedite picking her VP. So that's that's so that his name will that the right name will appear on the ballot across the country. You gotta understand, I forget which state, and I keep bringing it up, and I should look it up. But there's a state out there that's going to start voting mid-September for early voting.
Hang on just a second.
I'm sorry, right? No, mid-August. My bad.
Okay, for the nice little editing, we have found the state.
And it's an
It is.
important one.
It is. It is.
No
Which one?
wonder I read that thing a million times. I could never remember the state. It's Pennsylvania. Their early voting starts September 16th. So my point is they have to get all the ballots figured out. So Trump and Vance are now the name that's going to appear on the ballot, certified by every state. So he could technically change the VP. I mean, Vance could pull out. I mean, it's not like,
Oh,
and then they'll say, okay, RFK can be my VP.
there's a joke in there somewhere, but
There is a joke in there.
I know this is family oriented.
Do what we can. Uh, but then on the ballots, it's still going to say Vance.
So if even if it does say Vance, it could say Trump Vance, but Trump could go Vance is gone, and
Well,
what's
the
his face is
Republicans
in
make
there,
the
and it doesn't
rules
matter.
for their party, and since Trump rules their party, he could make the rules.
So that's
But
what I'm
as far as the
asking.
states are concerned, the states are going to have Trump Vance on their ballot.
So what if he did fire Vance and it says Trump Vance, and now what's his face? Horse
I
boy.
think Vance actually has to pull out.
I know there's a joke there. I don't keep it clean.
I don't think he can be fired by Trump.
Oh,
But I might be
really? That see,
wrong.
I didn't know. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't. I think that Trump could make his life a living hell, and he'd run screaming from the party. I have total faith in Trump to be able to do that, but I believe that because of some campaign finance laws, they, I
Oh,
think Vance has to pull out.
that is interesting thought. That's an interesting thing. It's like
The
because
money's been
he has
raised under
been
both their names from the second he joined the ticket. So now,
banned.
when they file campaign finance reports, his name's part of that. So believe me, always follow the money. And usually it leads you to votes or rando weird information like this.
Okay.
So yeah, that money is glued to Vance until it's not. And I think he's the one who has to pull out.
Okay. So he would have to quit in order for the money to go to Trump so that he can use it and RFK or whoever he
I think
decides.
it opens up a bunch of, I mean, let me just say a whole bunch of lawyers will get paid if this goes down and Trump fires JD and JD's like, I'm not quitting the campaign, then it's just, I mean, you understand, Republican Party's in a world of trouble anyway. Michigan has two different Republican parties.
Yeah.
So they're already there's a lot of infighting. And when Trump loses this cycle, it'll be interesting to watch what happens to the Republican Party.
Well,
Because either they're going to figure themselves out and shut down all the racist rhetoric and lose 25, 30% of electorate and get completely annihilated. So then they kind of rebuild from the ashes. That's what's probably going to happen. Or Trump will be their candidate until he dies.
But he can't run for president again, can he?
Sure, he can. He's only served one four-year term.
Oh
He can
my.
run until he's 105. Who's
If
with
they
me?
if they nominate him again to run again,
It was he didn't even show up and he got nominated. He didn't show up to one debate during the Republican primary and he got nominated with 86% or something.
which
He
is
just has
which is
he
a
just
bad number when you were wanting for your party to vote for you. That's a
yeah, he
bad
went to
number.
99, but yeah, he gets 80. I mean, he got so much of the vote. And if it wasn't for oh damn, what's her name? The Republican who ran against him.
I know who you're talking
Oh
about. The
yeah.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. If it wasn't for
Anyway, if it
the
weren't
one
for
that stayed
her,
in long enough,
yeah, yeah. If it weren't for her, he would have been in the 90s easily because those Republicans probably wouldn't even have shown up in the primary. So, yeah, so he can run again,
if he
everybody,
if well,
but
I'm
not
hoping.
from prison.
That's what I'm saying. That was exactly what I was going to say. That he's going to lose. The justice system is going to catch up with him, and they're going to put him in jail and put him in prison. I know everybody's like, I haven't seen it. I don't think so, but I think that will be his ultimate place. It's like you. I don't care. You can stay there for 4 years.
Right.
You know what I mean? Who cares? You can campaign from your jail cell as
Honestly,
much as
if
you
they just
possibly can.
well, what I think the writing on the wall has started. It was reported that Fox News the other morning, or yeah, got 17 unanswered phone calls from Trump.
Yes.
Like Trump called the station 17 times between like 6:15 in the morning and noon, and they never picked up.
Yep. And a lot of the tarot readers are saying that since you're on my channel, the tarot readers are saying I haven't seen him in jail. I haven't seen him in jail. I have. I saw handcuffs on him. I did. I saw handcuffs on him, and I see him going down. But I also saw leaving too. Like
Yeah.
once he's going to steal all the money from the campaign, dump it into some bank accounts across the pond, and he's going to take his little um, Epstein jet, and he's going to disappear.
I'm pretty sure with the number of court cases he currently has, is probably not going to be allowed to leave the country. Too
Maybe he's
many,
not going to be allowed to leave, but I'm pretty sure if he tells his security people to like, you guys are not coming with me, I'm leaving.
right. Um, as long as he promises never to come back, I'd
I
be happy.
agree. I don't care where he goes. Please, somebody take him. Whoever's willing to take him, take him.
A couple of years ago, I started muting him when he was on the television during
Yeah,
news and whatever, and I found that my mental state
yeah,
improved.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, either jail or gone. I agree
I've
with you.
been listening to that
Yeah.
moron. He was on television forever. I never watched his show. And then in 2010, he started talking about Obama, and he has not shut up 1 minute
No.
since. And I'm
Yeah.
over it.
Okay, so that's the complications if does decide to Vance has to quit, this, that, and
Right.
the other. Okay, so now you knew you had a deep dive on RFK and how his suspending his campaign and how it's going to affect Kamala and Trump. So go
Right.
for it.
So the way it's set up electorally is that on one side you have the Republicans, on the other side you have the Democrats, and they push to the middle of the voter universe that's participating. Well, there's like that gap, and those are those independent voters right in the middle. And what was cool about RFK is that the harder these two pressed, it was like RFK was a relief valve. So you're getting that 3, 4, 5% of pissed off voter who thinks both parties are the same, which is just nonsense. But it was a relief valve for them to have somebody to vote for so they feel better. That relief valve is now gone. So my guess is that Trump might pick up a point, maybe, um, and then the rest of those voters just aren't going anywhere. They're going to into the ether.
Yeah, like we were talking off camera. The thing about my first impression was of that as well. It's like either there's a few things that are gonna happen. Number one, all of those people that refuse to vote for Trump are still not gonna vote for Trump. That's the reason why they were going to vote for RFK. Now that RFK is gone, I have a belief that that's where they're just not going to vote. They're like, I'm not going to vote for either one. And those ones that were voting for RFK because of Biden, I think they have already shifted, to be
Oh
honest with
yeah.
you.
Oh yeah. They've shifted immediately.
They're
Yeah.
long gone. They're underneath Kamala Harris's camp, and it's done and over with. So whatever was left, there was I'm not voting. I think they're just going to be non-active at that point.
Yeah, I just think that they've lost. They'll look around. They won't see a candidate they can uh, that they like. Um, and I actually have a whole video about why you never vote third party if you're a Democrat. I have a whole video on that. The
Yeah,
math is very clear.
yeah,
Um,
agreed.
but independents, they're rogue, man. They show up sometimes and they don't. And uh,
They're the
you
aloofs.
know,
Well, there is that camp of Gaza people. What is
oh,
there? I have sympathy for them. I have compassion for what their cause is. Nobody wants to watch other people suffer. I get that. However, they are really just like burning bridges at both ends, and it doesn't make any
yeah,
sense to me.
yeah,
It just doesn't.
yeah. No, they're. I also agree with them. I think the
Yeah,
whole policy is garbage. And the good news is that the 30 somethings are taking over and they can decide if that's going to continue as a policy. That's
right.
on them. They're the majority now. So, so what I'm feeling like is that we're going to watch that whole thing play out, and they're going to have an opportunity to outvote all the boomers and the silent generation. You can outvote the Gen X. It ain't that hard. And then they can vote their Congress people in, vote their U.S. senators in, and vote their presidents in. And there's no way anyone can stop them from doing that. And I, as an X Gen, so interested to watch this play out because we've lived through, I've lived through Reagan, two Bushes, Slick Willie, the best African American president we've ever had
Ever.
so far, and Trump. So I'm game. Let's see what happens. I mean,
Right.
I'd love to see the 30 somethings take over the electorate.
I agree with you. I'm ready for the younger generation. We've been prepping them for quite some time, apparently, through trauma.
Right. So my favorite one was when my friend was complaining about Kamala coming out where she has on guns. And I'm like, you understand that her voter electorate's 30, that they've been duck and cover and learning how to lock doors down from shooters
Right.
since they were 10.
Yeah. We learned how to hide from tornadoes. They learned
We
how they hide
I
from
learned I
bullets.
learned how to hide from nuclear weapons.
Oh, we were tornadoes. Well, we were
We had tornadoes too.
yeah, we were tornadoes and hailstorms. We were all weather when I
Yeah, we
was
were tornadoes and nuclear war. Those are the reasons we went duck and cover in Texas.
yeah, we never I don't think I ever remember and I grew up on military bases and I don't ever remember doing anything for
Maybe
nuclear.
they just didn't bring that up as much over there.
Yeah, maybe they thought we were safer because we were on
Also,
base.
odds are, if you're on a military base, you're a target, and ain't no duck and cover going to save you at that
No
point.
reason to mention it to them.
Really, it's not even a thing.
No reason to let them know.
Don't even bring it up.
Yeah, that's maybe why they concentrated on the weather for us.
Yeah, you gotta watch out for those tornadoes.
But we did. We had to go under our desks or stand in doorways or I mean it was like ridiculous. And I would always go, if a tornado is gonna get us, we're not gonna be
So in
safe.
third grade, I had a tornado jump over my school. Like it destroyed a bunch of houses, jumped over the school, and like redirected the creek down the street.
Wow.
And I knew it was real, and I knew things had gone sideways when all of the teachers started praying. I was like, whoa.
All the teachers in all church like, oh,
No, no, they started praying for real. I was like, all
oh
right,
my gosh.
that's when you know it's real.
Well, my father was stationed at Fort Riley in Kansas. So we we were right in the middle of tornado alley. Although I never saw a tornado or heard them, and I knew where they were at, and they were very close. I never actually saw one. So,
I've seen more than my fair share. I'm good. I
woo,
don't
well,
need to
yeah,
see.
Texas, you can see them over in Kansas because y'all
Oh
so
yeah, you can
flat.
see them coming. And like, yeah, yeah, you can see them coming.
I'm like, is that one gonna get here? That one's in Nebraska now. I mean, is he
Yeah,
really gonna get here?
true.
Oh, that
We can
is
see them
too
pretty
funny.
far off.
All right, my dear. Well, thank you so much for the information. It makes me feel a lot better. I think we're heading in the right direction. I think we need to keep up this momentum. I think we need to do what we can to keep the energy high and continue
In
on.
a
I
few days, we should have some post-convention polling that should be pretty reliable. I keep checking, and they usually need 3 or 4 days, and it ended on Thursday. So we're getting close to that 4 day mark. So we should start seeing some numbers, and we'll see if there's a bump
well, we do
of any
have we
kind.
do have some data. Number one, Trump's the RNC was not watched as much as the DNC by millions.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
By
Yeah, her
millions.
ratings are 25 points higher than
Yeah, exactly. Every single night.
every night. Yeah.
Every night
She's also raised $540 million in five.
million. I know. She can just she could put so many commercials and this, that, and the other in red states till they're sick of it.
Yeah.
That's how much money she has raised to be able to do
You could knock on every door in every swing state 32 times.
that. Isn't that fantastic? I think
That's what
that's
you can do
just
with that money.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And she's still getting donations. Her and Walls
Oh
is
yeah. Oh
is
no,
still
it's
getting.
not gonna stop. And I mean she got 40 million Thursday the on that last day of the convention. And so I mean and that's what it sadly it takes a lot of money. And I talk about that quite a bit in my videos, why Texas, is we're huge contributors to races outside our state. We're like the second highest, but we barely even fund the states and the races inside our state because the gerrymandering makes it impractical to run races. That's why Colin Allred's got a real chance if he's within 2 points of taking Texas, but we still won't control the legislature.
Yeah, yeah. They have Texas has a long ways to go.
Oh yeah, no, like Colin Allred would have to win Texas by like
Yeah.
9 points for us to take the legislature. It'd be ridiculous.
Well, if somebody puts a fire up underneath all those young butts in Texas, they
Hey,
would.
we're a young state.
Yep,
We're
they would
whippersnappers down
really
here.
really make a difference if they could just see the what is that saying? See the forest through the trees. Is that the saying?
I'd like to say they need to be the hope that they want to see in the world.
Yes. You have to build your own world, and here's your chance.
It takes a village, but that village has to be built.
Yes, exactly. So I'm very, very excited. And a lot of things are happening out there. And I know that I haven't been on my channel a whole heck of a lot, but it's because I have been thoroughly enjoying this momentum.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch. All last week was a blast. I
Yeah,
did.
it's
I
great.
have a whole 6 videos, I think, just me talking about what happened at the convention and what to look for and stuff. I have that on a list that you can just listen. You can just go right through them.
There was something else that people were all kinds of,
Playlist.
well, that didn't like make it any better. They're all kinds of worried about because it is customary for Kamala Harris's state and also Tim Walz's state to throw their electoral things last, right? It's customary for them to be last when they were doing the
Oh, during the
giving the
convention.
delegates, right? They were giving the delegates and stuff like that.
California
When
went last.
the what? Yeah, that was
California went
it's
last.
customary for that to
Yeah,
happen
yeah, yeah, yeah.
because they passed. So what blew up with the Republicans, especially on social media, was that California passed when it was time, but they didn't continue up with the information that it was customary for the California to do that, and then they throw it in.
Oh no, the Republicans are looking for any little nonsense noise machine that they can cling on to because they got this orange idiots running their party into the ground. They're gonna look for any little minutia, and I always And anytime I get any response like, oh, no, 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 I'm like, still better than Trump and Vance.
Yes,
Still
yes.
better. Nothing you said changes that math at all.
Yeah, I fully believe that this mental illness, and I'm calling it a mental illness, even though I'm not a doctor. I am not a doctor. I can't diagnose anybody, but it's plain and simple when you see
If it quacks
somebody.
like a duck,
Yeah, I'm like, if I can consider that something different, I'm sure a doctor could give us an elaboration of what's really going on with these people. I think it's really, really bad. And it could be lack of education. But here's the thing, and we're gonna end with this. Here's the thing is we used to think back in the day, remember we used to say ignorance is just the lack of education or lack of knowledge. Well, we have a plethora of knowledge at our fingertips through these that we hold every single day, and it's still not fixing the lack of education or lack
you're
of
referring to those alternative facts, I think.
those. Yeah, those alternative facts that they. Yeah. So it is not stupidity is not fixed by the lack of knowledge. I hate to say it. I don't like to call them stupid, but I don't know what else to do. I don't know what other word we can use in the English language to be just blatant. I don't know.
Well, what I found, I thought it was always just a lack of critical thinking.
Well, yeah, but we used to
They're
think
not
that
able, they're not
critical
able to
thinking.
see through the noise because in campaigns you get a lot of noise, and
Yeah,
that's why I tell candidates when you plan your campaign a year out and then you plan your campaign, then you campaign your plan, you're making better decisions a year out than you are when you're
sure.
deep in the trenches and you can only see 3 days ahead,
Yeah.
you know? So what these people are lacking is the ability to get through that noise because they've lost
But
hope
what
and they've
does that,
lost
right?
everything.
What is keeping them from having critical thinking skills? What made us different? That's what my brain, my Gemini brain latches onto so much is trying to figure out. I would think just the information would fix the critical thinking and redirect and readjust their who they what they're thinking, but it's not working. There's so much information. They can Google just as much information as we can. You know what I mean?
Well,
The
they've had a
tools
guy
are
telling them
there.
don't trust the news for 40 years, and I'm talking about Rush Limbaugh.
It's an
We
emotional
lost, we
response.
lost. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. He gave birth to everything that we're dealing with right now.
Yes.
So I always go back to Karl Rove's, the Rush Limbaughs. Those are the guys who created the systems that we're fighting right now.
Yes.
The Reagan systems that were set up economically in this country, which has managed to screw over every generation as since the mine and on back.
Yeah.
So uh yeah, all those things were designed and engineered in the late 70s and mid 80s. And we are still, the Bill O'Reillys learned from Rush Limbaugh. All these morons on Fox News learned from Bill O'Reilly. It's all the same noise that we've had for 40 years. And there's a group of people in this country that have only ever heard that noise. And they were told, don't trust anything else. So this is what you get.
Yeah. I agree.
It's not that they're dumb, it's that their heads are so full of noise and garbage
You're
that
right.
that's what
The
they assume
word.
are the facts. They're probably really smart people. They
You're
probably
right.
memorize the Bible. I can't memorize the Bible. I've read it. It was great read, but I mean, I can't do verse and all that stuff. They
Yeah.
can. They're smart people, but they've just been misled for decades, generationally. So how do you unprogram them? It's impossible.
You're
All you
right.
can do is
I calling them stupid
vote.
or whatever is definitely not the right word, and I knew it when it came out of my mouth. Now, I think that one thing too is also they have not been taught that their emotions can lie to them. When you do not get that information that your emotions can lie to you and fake you out, because I mean, just like going to a movie, you go to a horror film, you know dang well what's on the screen is not real, but you're going to feel afraid,
Right.
right? It's a fake emotion. It's a fake elaboration, and they have honed in on their emotions. It has to be an emotional response, not a thinking response. It's the only thing that can make sense.
Yeah, that's why Trump uses hate.
Yes,
Very
because it's an
efficient.
emotional response.
But it can't be sustained.
Sure,
It has to be renewed in some way.
sure.
And that's why his numbers are because or flatlined, which is really what they've done. Um, they can't grow past it
Mhm.
because that amount of hate has reached its ROI.
Shelf
Uh,
life.
yeah, there's no more hate is going to get you up higher in the polls.
Oh, that
You've
makes sense.
maxed out.
That's good to know. You can't
And
elaborate. You can't get higher. Well, that's just like positive emotions and bad emotions, right? There's a level. The good emotions can't get past this level. You always
mhm.
have to go into a bad emotion, and the bad emotions can't get past this level.
Yeah, everything's got a
It'll be a good
ceiling.
emotion.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it
And
can't.
and if you listen to his rhetoric, it's all about the past now, how bad things are right
Yeah,
now, and how the past was this golden city on a hill and all that jazz, which is total nonsense. And the only people doing talking like that, honestly, work in real estate, which is where he's from. Makes kind of sense. So of course he's going to tell you this is going to be awesome, and that back there is nonsense, because that's how his brain works.
yeah,
And you
that's true.
know, yeah, and he won in 2016. But you gotta understand the Republicans had a 40-year head start on Hillary,
Sure. They've
and
been
no one
for
thought
quite
that
some
idiot
time.
could win.
Yeah, I agree. They've been playing the long game for quite some
Well,
time.
the independents stayed home. uh and some of them I guess voted for him, but the independents didn't think that this country would be dumb enough to vote Trump in.
Yeah,
And that's why you saw what happened in 2018, and then 2020 obviously, and then 22. That's the independents going Democrat every time.
yeah,
And that's why we've won every single election since Roe. We're like 20-0 or some 21-0. Every single election that's happened since Roe was overthrown, the Democrats have won. That's
yeah.
the independent vote, just beating on the Republicans, and they're just too desensitized, or their heads are just too full of noise. They can't hear those independent voters anymore. I'm
Yeah.
not complaining. I'm just saying that's what's going
Mhm.
down.
All right, everyone. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. Thank you
Thank you
so
guys.
much, Don. Lots of clarity. Good conversation. Thank you.